Welcome back. Welcome into the Sarah Fraser Show podcast. Oh my God, do we have a full show today? And I'm just going to start out by saying it. Happy 1-year anniversary to Something About Her sandwich shop. You know, I went viral this time a year ago for waiting in line and basically having some of the worst customer service that I've ever experienced in my life, then doing a rant about it and being picked up virally by every Bravo blog and the Daily Mail. If you missed it, it's all over my social media. You can go to @the Sarah Fraser Show and see it there. I have no regrets, but I actually went a couple of weeks ago in a disguise. Those videos are also up. And at the end of today's episode, I'm going to be replaying my review that I did with my husband, eating and testing their sandwiches. Were they worth it? I spent $80 in sandwiches and drinks there. And I will say, I got there. My camera woman and I recorded live. They were supposed to open at 11 and did not get open until 11:10 a.m. But Ariana has been giving interviews, and she says that Something About Her sandwich shop is doing amazing, sweetie. So stick around for that at the end of today's episode. However, a lot to talk about in all these trials that are happening. First of all, can you guys believe that we are 20 days in on the Karen Read trial? 20 days. Oh, it always makes me nervous when these trials go on because you have a jury that has given up time with their family, with their friends. They're sequestered on something high profile like that. And then do they just want to get out of there? Are they done? It's very O.J. Simpson-like. That was the thing with the O.J. Simpson trial. It went on a very long time and they wanted to be out of there. And so if the glove don't fit, you must acquit. We will see what happens with Karen Read. We're all on the Karen Read trial watch. But the other one trial, I should say, and then, of course, the one that's being tried in the court of public opinion, Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, have big updates. So first and foremost, Kid Cudi was supposed to testify this week, and then it was delayed. What does this signal? A lot of people have a lot of speculation about this, but Kid Cudi, the rapper, and also former boyfriend of Cassie's, was supposed to take the stand yesterday. He may be taking the stand today. He was ready to appear in the Manhattan courtroom, but his testimony was postponed hours prior. He said that he had been delayed by scheduling issues, but it's unclear. The rapper's real name is Scott Ramone. When he will appear in this high-profile trial and what exactly was the delay. The rapper is expected to testify about an alleged affair that he and Cassie had while he was dating Diddy, which then culminated with Diddy blowing up the rapper's car. This actually happened, if you all recall. And at the time, there was a lot of speculation, like if Diddy had done it, if not. Well, in a lawsuit, the one that Cassie filed in 2023, she states that Diddy flew into a rage after finding out about their alleged romance, told her that she was going to blow up Cudi's vehicle, did that, and that's when Cassie says it was a complete turning point for her because she knew how dangerous this man was and would go to extreme levels. So we are actually going to see the rapper Kid Cudi testify in this trial as well, we believe. What the delay is, we don't know. Is that a good sign? Is it a bad sign? I'm not a trial attorney. I don't know. But I will say this. Talked about it many times on this podcast over the past couple of weeks since the trial has started and even prior. Where are the RICO charges? Where are the sex trafficking charges? Are they coming? Now, some court reporters that have been there, as well as TikTok personalities that are allowed in the courtroom, have been very nervous and fearful because they say they're not coming. That the prosecution really doesn't have proof of RICO, that this is a domestic violence case, which clearly he is guilty of. And he's also like a sick fuck, right? I mean, we know all those things. I mean, we even found out this week that Diddy at these freak-off sessions wore a burqa, like a religious burqa, over his face during sex marathons with an escort known as the Punisher. We also had all of the male escorts' identities revealed and not a single woman. This man is freaky deaky. He on the down low. Everybody this man ain't got a woman in sight. I mean, he goes from crazy to crazier. Cassie alleges, more abuse. She says that at one point he would often take corkscrews, like a wine bottle corkscrew, put it between his fingers and lunge at her. All kinds of mind manipulation and more. But a defense attorney that has been covering the case spoke to Fox New York to explain what the internet is worried about. Like, can Diddy be really charged with these RICO and sex trafficking allegations? So here's what he has to say. I thought this was fascinating.
Can Diddy go free? How do you answer that?
Anything is possible.
No.
Diddy could potentially
No.
go free, but if he's going to go free, the defense is going to have to continue to hammer upon the fact that this case has more to do with domestic violence than, in fact, federal sex trafficking. And if the defense can hit that home to the jury every day throughout the course of tomorrow through the rest of the trial, he might have a chance to go free.
What?
But it's going to be a very nuanced, complicated endeavor for the defense. Not easy, very much so an uphill battle.
Okay, but you're saying it's not easy for them, but a lot of people are saying all they're doing is proving domestic violence. What do they need to do? What does the prosecution need to do in order to prove sex trafficking?
Well, in order to prove sex trafficking, the prosecution has to focus on a few key elements.
Okay.
Coercion, force, manipulation, defrauding. To the extent that they can show those elements, they can build their case and make a case for sex trafficking. So when we look at specifically the testimony that's come through from Ms. Cassie Ventura, of course, we heard a lot about force, right? And whereas a layperson might look at that testimony and say, hey, what does this have to do with sex trafficking? This has more to do with domestic violence.
Right.
Well, it's a critical element because what we do have testimony about, both from Ms. Ventura and ultimately some of the witnesses that testified today, was that there was commercial sex, right?
Okay.
And to the extent that you have coercion.
Meaning the sex workers that they hired for these freak-offs.
Exactly. So like once you combine that element with the force, with the coercion, with the drugs, you're now starting to make a recipe for sex trafficking. Even if it isn't necessarily the strongest case, it's certainly not one that they can't prove.
So you think that the prosecution has enough to prove this?
As of right now,
yeah.
No. But if they continue building their pieces, element, block by block, they may. We'll have to see ultimately where things are by the end of the case, how cross-examination goes with respect to a number of the remaining witnesses. But they are starting. We are only a few days in.
We're only a few days in. We're going on a weekend now. Look, it does seem like, where are these shock charges? We keep hearing this. However, this defense attorney at least believes that, you know, if they keep hammering away at this whole thing where they had these parties, you know, these sex workers were hired, we're at least getting there. But it does still seem like, oh my God, is this coming? Are we getting more? Are we going to get more? So anyhow, there are some of the highlights from this trial. I mean, so many crazy things happening. More things about his baby oil, his LA mansion for sale here in LA. It's been up for sale for months and months. They want $51 million. He has had no luck offloading it. Of course, who wants that nasty mansion? Also, images were released from the raid on Diddy's Miami mansion. If you remember that, the music mogul's normally jet black hair is a dye job. Well, we kind of knew that. He would dye his hair with Just for Men. He also had a cache of guns, drugs, and freak-off paraphernalia found in the rapper's mansion when it was raided by agents in March of 2024. Before his arrest months later, Diddy had always sported a more youthful jet black beard despite his advanced age. But when he was escorted in the following many months behind bars in a Brooklyn jail, he surprised the courtroom by showing up with basically all gray hair, FYI. Well, he was dyeing it with Just for Men. What an endorsement for them. No, thank you. Candace Owens. I have yet to see the jailhouse interview with Harvey Weinstein, but I have seen clips and it doesn't seem very convincing to me that Harvey Weinstein is not a creep and I believe a rapist. He is behind bars for that. But anyway, you have to listen to that interview behind a paywall, which I am not doing. However, Candace Owens did drop a YouTube video yesterday, confirming what a lot of us have known, that Blake Lively and Taylor Swift's friendship is 100% over. It is over. Candace says that she has sources that have confirmed to her that are close to Taylor Swift that they are toast. They are done. And also Candace Owens confirmed something that we talked about here on TSFS, which is reportedly the source to Brian Friedman, that Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds essentially said, hey, look, Taylor, you know, if you don't come out in public support of me like you have in the past for Kesha and other women who have been essayed. We're going to release 10 years of our text messages about you. We're going to have to leak some things. Oof. Well, Candace Owens says that the source who called Brian Friedman and basically said Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively are dirtbags, and I have a voice memo from Michael Gottlieb, a voice message, basically with Gottlieb threatening us, and I'm going to send it to you. Candace Owens has also confirmed that that source is allegedly Scott Swift, Taylor Swift's father. Now, there were reports that it was Travis Kelce himself, it was Taylor Swift, that perhaps it was Taylor Swift's lawyers. But apparently Owens says she too has heard that it is Scott Swift direct, and that Scott Swift is going to do everything and anything to protect his daughter's reputation, which makes sense because Scott Swift has been like her longtime manager and like by her side the entire time, right? So it is apparently completely over. I will say this too. I know a lot of people made a huge deal about this story that came out of Blake Lively. You know how she tried to have a Goop? She had this preserve company. So Preserve was supposed to be the equivalent of Goop, right? Stupid organic shit like Meghan Markle does. $25 jelly. Who cares, right? I mean, you melt down a few raspberries, you add a little sugar, you put a little wax on it, and boom, you got jelly. Put it in a jar. Well, staffers came out this past week and they alleged that this place was chaotic. I mean, was this like the bombshell? Oh my God, Blake Lively treated people like complete crap. It wasn't earth-shattering, I didn't think. Now, maybe it's because I've worked in radio for so many years and this was sort of par for the course. I don't know. I feel like everything they talked about in this article, I'm like, oh, well, I feel like I experienced that for 5 years. But anyhow, so first of all, big mistake. Blake Lively hires her brother, Eric, who's hot, by the way, also a former actor. I think he's still acting to some degree, as he was going to be the creative director. And no shock at all. This article basically, to me, insinuates they were highly disorganized. For many weeks and months, there were no desks at the office, one source said. The irony of it being a lifestyle site that was selling these really expensive wares didn't even have a desk or anything to look pretty there. Okay. Shocker number 2, Eric was completely unqualified to run a company. You don't say. A guy that's an actor that's, I don't know, played a bunny rabbit in a film, it wasn't equipped to run a high-end women's lifestyle brand? No. Then basically, look, the employees say it was super unprofessional. One former staffer described Eric as an actor, and he would come in almost acting the part of creative director. Hello, everyone. Today, I am Eric, creative director, and I'm going to talk about wallpaper. What? The employees also alleged that they had crazy work hours. All right, well, who hasn't? Didn't like Google go through this where like they built a gym and like a fine restaurant so no one left? 2 staff members claimed they were unable to afford subway fares when they were not paid on time. That also sounds accurate. Bottom line is this. She sucks as a boss, Blake Lively. This company doesn't exist. They obviously, they knew they were at fault because the staffers that went on record with Daily Mail said they received settlements of up to $300K after threatening legal action over their mistreatment. However, the company's inner turmoil stayed under wraps due to Blake Lively's longtime publicist, Leslie Sloan. Ooh, Sloan was working them. Sloan shut it down, one worker claimed. They buried every single thing and story prior to today, thanks to Leslie Sloan. In an interview with Entrepreneur in 2023, Blake owned up to mistakes that she'd actually made at Preserve. She said, I poured everything I had into that company, she told the outlet, according to E! News, but noted behind the scenes stuff that we just couldn't figure out. It just happened, the Gossip Girl alum said. Oh, it just happened? How about your brother coming into work pretending, today I'm going to act as the creative director. Now, what is the Pantene's color of the year? Oh, red? Okay. Oh, my God. Look, y'all know I'm Team Baldoni. I don't believe for 1 second. First of all, I think if it's truly over and Scott Swift is the source of Justin Baldoni and this and Brian Friedman, they are royally effed. They are effed beyond effed. It's over. It appears to me to be over as well. It's giving me reverse Diddy vibes. Do I think Diddy is a creep? And again, it sounds like from what this lawyer said, The prosecution is maybe getting close to these criminal charges of sex trafficking, right? Which is, he's obviously going to serve some time. It's the same thing with Lively and Ryan Reynolds. Where's the proof of sexual harassment? I do not believe Justin Baldoni is a sexual harasser. I don't. Do I think that he's weird in the Baha'i faith? Yeah, 100%. Okay. I know old school Catholics that want to practice like Vatican I. They want the women to come to mass in veils. Okay. It's a very small sect of people, but they're out there. So I am Team Baldoni. This story was like amped up as a bombshell of staffers. And it's like, oh, you're kidding. Like they're completely disorganized. Let's see. Eric Lively often overslept, leaving many of the staffers to wait outside in the cold before getting to the Manhattan studio. Well, maybe he needed extra time to get into character that day as the creative director. Oh, God, Blake Lively. Anyhow, it looks like that is headed to trial. Seems like it's headed to trial. So far, we haven't settled. But again, we're only kicking off the summer. And my prediction is we will not go to trial in March of 2025. But I don't know. This story may have legs like I haven't seen. Lastly, Gwendolyn Brown and Meri Brown are close and buddy again. This comes after, of course, McKelty Brown has gone on record on her Patreon and said that Meri Brown was physically abusive to her. What went down here? Meri, who's been on my show, I love my Meri. She embarked on a solo trip across the country to attend motivational speaker Mel Robbins' event on Tuesday, May 20th. She posted on her IG, I've been to Boston a couple of times prior to this trip, but this time I saw it through different eyes, she wrote in the caption. I looked at it through the eyes of hope, optimism, change, and kind of itching to go back. In the comments section, Gwen Brown, who's just 24 years old, said, love the adventures. The pair seemingly have made amends after a formerly turbulent relationship. In 2023, Gwen opened up about her childhood and what it was like growing up around Lizzie's Heritage Inn owner. During her youth, Meri, along with Cody Brown's former wives, Janelle and Christine, as well as his current wife, Robin, all considered themselves mothers to Cody's 18 kids. And Gwen has famously said, quote, Meri was scary as a kid, but she never attacked me. I only saw her violent once. She alleged via her Patreon. According to multiple reports, that was all a long time ago. So it looks like the two of them have come together and made up. Yeah, Payton also confirmed that Sister Maddie Brown's since-deleted Twitter post from 2019 where she talked about being scared of someone for her whole life who plays like the one who's hurting were directed at Meri. So they've had these like back and forth with Meri, but it does seem that the two of them have made up. Reps for McKelty, Payton, and Meri did not respond to In Touch Magazine's request for a comment after they brought these stories to light. So there you go. Okay, a couple of weeks ago, I had a moment. I went to something about her sandwich shop after I went a year ago on opening day, waited like 5 hours in line. The line moved for the first 3 hours, and then they stopped. No communications, no free samples, no coupons. I would have thought you're a business. Don't you have a newsletter? Wouldn't you want the 250 people waiting in line that were never going to get a sandwich to come back? They did not communicate with us. It was shocking to me that Katie Maloney and Ariana were there, the grand opening, actually putting mayonnaise on the sandwiches. I have never seen that. I've worked in radio and for Fox 5 DC for 20 years. When you go to celebrity openings like Bobby Flay, Guy Fieri, when you go to those guys come out with sample trays and they stand at a step and repeat and they take pictures with fans and discuss the menu. I've never seen a celeb event where they're in the back slicing up the bread. I spoke my truth and y'all hated it. So I thought I'd replay it. So I went a week ago, actually probably 2 weeks ago now, in a disguise because I think, Ariana blocked me after that. I asked Anne from Something About Her if there was a picture back there. She didn't really deny that there was a photo. She's like, I'll make sure it comes down. So I went in a gnarly disguise. It's up on my TikTok at the Sarah Fraser Show. I tried the sandwiches and I got to say there was only one that I hated, which was an extremely dry tuna salad. It was like disgusting. I think it's the Cape. It's horrendous. But my husband, on the other hand, he had thoughts. Anyhow, take a listen. Love you all.